All right. So, yeah, I mean, this is part two, I guess. I don't know how this is gonna work, but I'm new to this, so cut me some slack, or I'll cut you. I'm not gonna cut you. I don't know if I can do that. But anyway, I mean, yeah. So, uh, one thing I learned, obviously, in one word, was patience. With yourself and with the people you're dating and all that sort of stuff. Um, I think that, um, as an aside or whatever, the idea of starting dating, for the first time after a long relationship, um, is difficult because everybody that you date, it's going to sound cliche, but rem either reminds you of that person or feels like they're a substitute for that person. And I'm gonna like, get rid of this, myth, or I'm gonna, cut it at its knees right away and just tell you that that's 100% true. Um, so, you know, there's no way that you're gonna t number one that you're ever gonna totally forget that person. That person will be a part of your life, and they'll be a part of your life for the rest of your life. But they'll also be a part of your psyche for a long time, depending on how close you were, all those sorts of things. Um, and so, you know, uh, when you're with somebody else, I can remember vividly, whenever I would sit in bed with somebody, or I'd go walk with somebody, or I'd go, to the park with somebody, I just imagine being with that first person that I was with, my first girlfriend. And so, again, a lot of it has to do with, it's going to sound again kind of monotonous, but it's important to remind yourself that it's okay, that it's normal, and all those sorts of things, to feel this way. If you think about it, your life system was built around this person, whether you like it or not. So, if you don't allow yourself, we can take the other side of it. If you don't allow yourself that leeway, and you get mad at yourself, or you get nervous, or you get anxious anytime that you start thinking about that person, um, you're putting yourself in a smaller and smaller box, and you're not going to like that box after a while. It's going to get dark, and not to get too terribly poetic, but it's just going to get very lonely. Um, so I think it's important to try and keep that in mind, and to allow yourself to, remember those things, because what you're remembering is you're remembering hopefully the good times with that person, when you're with these new people, and that's okay. You had a good time with that person, you're gonna have a good time with somebody else hopefully, and it's okay to remind yourself of that person. Um, if it becomes overwhelming, to the point that it's distracting you from enjoying your time with that person, then maybe you need to take a step back. And there are a couple options. The two main ones that come to mind is, either if you feel comfortable mentioning it, or depending on how close you are with the person you're dating, mentioning it to that person and saying, I just got out of this relationship, and you remind me right now, I don't know why, but it's reminding me of being with that person. And oddly enough, people are oddly accepting of things like that, because, like I said, just like you would understand me, most people understand, that sentiment, and so that's one option. And the other one is to decide to take a step back and take a break again, and that's okay too. Um, I don't know how much more I want to belabor this, but I just wanted to make at least a little blurb about this, partially for myself and partially for anybody who wants to watch. Um, I know that, being in any relationship, but particularly being in a long-term committed relationship and having it end, um, in whatever way it does, is never pretty. It's always in some way devastating, or at least it tends to be. And the worst feeling is that feeling of, at least for me, is feeling of loneliness and regret and resentment and anger and frustration and all the bad things you can think of. Um, but the best thing, the best feeling is the idea of feeling connected with somebody. And it took a long time for me to feel that way because I didn't have people in my life that had been through what I had been through, even close. The closest person that I felt to actually when this all happened was my grandfather, who had just lost my grandmother. They've been married for 30, 40 years. And again, I know I said this before, but I know that's a stretch. But really, once you pass a certain point and you've built your life around somebody, and they've built it around you in certain ways. Um, it's in a different like realm or a different stratosphere than than other relationships. 6 years or however long it is. It doesn't have to be a time thing, but it's a long time. It's a big commitment, and so but that feeling of loneliness, of feeling like you can't connect with anybody anymore, in the same way, is just as, if not more, devastating than the loss that you had. Um, I think that those are the main points for today that I wanted to mention. Not that this is, not that I'm an expert or anything. Like I said, I did this, partially for myself, and I just wanted to, I guess vent and talk about it. I hope that this helped. I look forward to any comments, both positive and negative. I'm a medical student, so I'm used to being yelled at. So if you think this was shitty, please tell me in the comments, and I'll read it, and I may or may not respond. If you think it was helpful, please let me know, and I'll may or may not respond. But just let me know. And if you have any ideas for what you want me to talk about in the future, I'm gonna try and think of things myself. But I'm gonna start this project up, and hopefully um, it'll evolve into something that's helpful, or at least helpful to me. Um, and maybe if we can figure something out together, it'll be helpful to everyone and fun. Um, all right. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.